Hey everyone, welcome again to yet another show, yet another episode of the Industry Show. Joining us today is Ravi Sharma, founder and CEO of OOTify.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us, Ravi.
Of course,
this
my
is
pleasure.
a beautiful setup.
Thank you.
And we're going to play ping pong right after that. So,
Absolutely.
But you won't be able to see it. All right. So let's get started with you.
Sure.
You know, where were you born? Tell us something about your parents.
Sure.
The city you were born in, and where were you raised?
Absolutely. So my parents are from Delhi, India.
Okay.
My dad grew up in a small village called Palwal, and he grew up with very, very humble beginnings.
Okay.
Like picture straw hut, mud on the ground. So very driven, and I think that's where the seed of entrepreneurship was planted in my life. He's very passionate, very positive, and I think if I'm right, Nitin, he's working on his 16th venture now.
No way.
Yeah, 16th venture.
Wow.
And so, my mother, she's from Delhi, India. Yeah. They met at Frank Anthony School.
Yeah.
And she supported him through every single venture. She's probably one of the smartest people I know. She helped from accounting to, hey, we should probably exit out of this venture right now, because sometimes you get attached to your baby.
Yep.
And my dad's most famous or most respected for being in the hospitality industry.
Okay.
So he owned a company called Hotel.com and sold that to Hotels.com.
Yeah.
It was actually the first hospitality company on the HRN, Hotel Reservation Network, using that platform.
Nice.
So he's been very passionate about hospitality, very passionate about clean tech, and really planted the seed in me at a very young age. So I was born in New Jersey, actually, but moved here when I was 1 to Los Angeles.
Okay. So you're an Angelino.
I'm an Angelino. Yeah, I love Los Angeles.
So what did you go to school for?
So I went to USC, and I went to the Marshall School of Business. I studied business administration, did finance, entrepreneurship, management and organization there, but really latched onto entrepreneurship. Right. I think I tried to start 2 companies while I was at USC, so I'm a Trojan. Fight on.
Fight on, yes. So let's do some rapid fire stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Since we have the mugs and we talked about coffee with Karan.
Coffee with Karan. I've always wanted to do a rapid fire. I'm bummed I'm not going to get a hamper though.
Well, we might be able to work something.
Awesome.
Maybe if you win in ping pong.
Done.
Okay.
Done.
All right.
Okay, cool.
So a favorite sport or activity you still play?
I love table tennis and tennis.
Okay.
Play it regularly.
You're trying to scare me. Okay, I get it.
It's a mental game. It's a mental game, so you got to get ahead of that.
Your favorite city?
I have a love-hate relationship with Los Angeles.
Dude, you can't say that.
I love it. It's just, I also am a free spirit. So I'd love to one day just travel a little bit too and get out of the city and live in another city for
if you can drive that far.
Exactly. But it's the perfect hub of diversity, culture, and talent. I love LA.
I love it here.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And coming from Bombay, I could.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
A thing you own that you wish you didn't?
Oh, that's a tough one. My car. Like I've had fast cars, I've had slow cars intentionally, but I always get myself in trouble when I have a fast car. So I wish I didn't have that car.
And it was like bright red?
I've had orange before.
Okay, close enough.
Now it's black. It attracted too much attention.
And too much insurance, I'd say.
Very high insurance. Yes.
If you were running for office, what would be your slogan?
Believe in my passion, because passion can move the needle.
Yeah, and we talked about passion.
Yes.
In a different context.
If you have passion, your voice is heard, so it can make a difference.
What was your favorite character growing up?
I loved Shah Rukh Khan. I love Bollywood movies.
I might not talk to you anymore.
Are you Salman Khan camp?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Both of them are getting along now, actually. Yeah. So, no, I love Shah Rukh Khan, his passion, right? Against all odds, an outsider coming in and making it, that is so inspiring to me.
I love his spirit, his passion, and his entrepreneurial spirit, right? He's amazing. I mean, he's a genius.
Yeah.
I don't like him on screen, but I love him for what he is off screen.
Yeah. And I love Salu too. I love Salu. Okay.
Yes, you have to.
Have to.
Otherwise, the show's ending, right? So, before you started OOTify, you had 3 startups?
Correct. Yes.
Tell us what what happened to them, and what were those before?
Sure. So the first startup that I had was in health tech. Okay. So it was a company called iBoss, and it was in 2008. We saw an opportunity in electronic health records. So you saw companies like in clinics like Scripps Healthcare in San Diego, which was one of our biggest clients. Yes. They were trying to shift all their paper medical charts to electronic. So we saw that as an opportunity to offshore, outsource that, and I ultimately ended up selling that to my partners so I could focus on some of my clean tech ventures. Okay. Because that was really where I thought there was even a bigger opportunity. Right. So that led into the second opportunity, which was Silo Energy. So that was an energy service company, and we bet on what I thought was a really sexy technology at that point. It was induction. Are you familiar with induction? Yeah. So Nikola Tesla invented induction technology. And so the idea was, how can you take fluorescent tubes and make them enclosed, use induction technology to create electromagnetic waves and power that inert gas and let it last for 20 years? Because what burns out fluorescent tubes is the ballast. Yes. And so we use that technology for streetlights.
That's awesome. I remember they have this thing is it at Griffith? They have this a thing that pretty much uses the same tech.
Exactly.
And you can come in and they kind of do a demo of it, and
it's beautiful technology.
And it looks beautiful.
It's beautiful. I loved it. We fell in love. We put all of it into it. I started an ESCO company. My dad did the manufacturing. Wow. And we won so many pilot projects throughout all sorts of California cities, all throughout the nation. The product was cheaper and it was a beautiful product, but it wasn't as sexy as LED. Oh. So we lost to LED. The Clinton Global Initiative actually backed LED, and it was a more expensive product, but in the long run, I think it was sexier. People like LED, and now if you look across the streets of Los Angeles, it's all LED. So we did get Brea. Oh, we got Brea. We got a few other cities. We got the city of Davis up north, Moraga. So a few cities here and there adopted induction. But ultimately, LED ended up being the adopter.
But you still got into cities. That's pretty amazing.
It was tough. It's a very competitive bidding process.
It's not easy.
Yeah. So talking to a lot of engineers and telling them on the benefits of our technology, not just from a feature perspective, but maintenance. Right. These bulbs wouldn't burn out for 10 years. So it was amazing technology. I'm bummed that LED took off, but in hindsight, you learn a lot in that process.
Right. It's all about the learning process, right? Yeah. I mean, you either make money or you make knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. It's a learning. Yeah, it's a learning, exactly.
And so what was your third one?
So the third was IntelliTower. This is funny because I think I spent 6 months on this project, and before I could even get it incorporated, my partner wanted to buy me out.
Nice.
It was a voltage optimization technology, so taking bad power and converting into clean power. And I never really even got to incorporate it, so it was the quickest exit that I've ever had.
That's awesome.
It was very modest, but I really wanted to focus on Silo Energy and try to win some of these projects, so we focused on that.
It's not about how big or small, right? It's these wins and what you learn from it.
Absolutely.
Is what keeps you going. Yeah, I would think as an entrepreneur.
You hit it on the nail. I learned about the impact technology can have on industries. That was the key. Like, this can actually change the industry.
So as you were going through all of this, I believe in 2016, you had a life-changing moment.
Yes.
So tell us what happened.
Yeah. So after Silo Energy didn't work out, I had to go back into finance. So I spent about 7 years getting my bearings back, really starting all over. And I was at Western Asset Management Company. They're a money manager in Pasadena. So my hours were 5:30 in the morning. I was in the office every day, and I love that. I'm a morning person. I love being up early. But I also played tennis regularly. Yeah. So that week, I had a tennis match with a friend of mine, Indian friend, UCLA grad, super amazing person. And I started getting calls about like, hey, we can't find Kevin. And first it was one of my friends that said, hey, you're playing tennis with him this week. I know you guys usually play. Are you guys still? I'm like, yeah, we're scheduled. We're going to play Thursday. It's Tuesday. So there's nothing to worry about. Right. Like, he probably went out last night partying. Get a call from a girl that he was supposed to have coffee with. And Kevin is super responsible, right? He was always on top of his stuff, on top of his game. She said he didn't show up for coffee the night before. So I said, that's strange, right? So I'm in the middle of my trading day. I'm trying to figure out something's not right. by the end of the day, my friend called me again. He's like, honestly, Ravi, we can't find him. So let's figure this out.
Right.
So we found out the next day that he had taken his life.
Wow.
In his apartment. And Nitin, it's one of those things where he was always the life of the party. You know, he was always cheering us up.
Right.
You know, he was always positive, full of energy. And we'd gone on trips together. You know, it just, it didn't make sense.
It didn't add up.
It didn't add up. And that's the thing. You know, mental health is something that we all have, and it's agnostic to like how much money you have,
right.
you know, what your upbringing is. It doesn't matter. Like, we all have mental health, and we all
yes.
should work on it. And I felt embarrassed at that point. You know, I'd had family members affected by this before, friends affected by this before, but I felt embarrassed. He didn't feel comfortable talking to me.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, he had kind of talked about his job and stuff like
right.
that with me, but never fully opened up. So. We lost him, and it really changed. It was a catalyst for me to do something about mental health crisis in America.
So you kind of figured that, you know, even though he was close to you and he was a good friend of yours, he didn't feel comfortable talking to you. And imagine how many others are probably in that state and phase.
Yeah.
So you wanted to do something about it.
Absolutely.
And so how did WhoDefy come about?
Yeah, so, you know, as soon as that happened, that was in 2016, I looked at my wife, said this was, you know, a shocking moment for me. Right. I had, again, like I said, had other scenarios in my life kind of come up. And I said, hey, what do you think about us scoping this project and seeing if there's something we could have done to save his life? She said, absolutely, there's no harm in that. Yeah. So I would trade in the morning, come home, work on the business plan. I did that for about 6 months. As soon as that had happened, that incident happened, up until January of 2017. I showed the business plan, and I look at it now, I'm like, oh, it was horrendous.
What was I thinking?
Oh my God. No, because the business plan has iterated so many times.
Of course.
We haven't pivoted, but we've iterated a lot in a year and a half. But she loved it. She wrote me the first check, and you know, the rest is history. I started building a team and really wanted to build a platform that didn't have any stigma, used really good technology, and just had uplifting content to really change the game for mental health. Yeah.
So why is mental health so important, and especially now? Yeah.
You know, I think mental health today, you just look at the stats, right? Look at the data. It's gotten really bad. It's become an epidemic. 1 in 5 people have a mental illness.
Really?
That's the reported number, diagnosed number. 60%.
Could be worse.
Oh yeah, 60% of those people don't get help. Okay, Indians are a third less likely out of that 60% to 66% less likely to get treatment than other counterparts. So that's the biggest fact to me, because we have the financial wherewithal as a community to pay for these services, even quietly. You know, but the stigma is what's holding us back.
Yes.
You know, the ability to do it easily, seamlessly, anonymously is important to us. Right. And as a community, we need to talk about it more. Yes. Because I think that's the biggest component. And
you mentioned, you know, when we were talking before and even earlier, that you had some experience around it, growing up within family and some relatives and stuff. So you're aware of the sensitivity around it, and the stigma that it brings, especially in our community. Yeah. On the other end, one would argue with, you know, this generation, the millennials and the Gen I and so on, are so connected in their social life, or so it would seem. Right. Right. The need for something like this seems like, why would you even need a third person to come in? Totally. So share a bit more about
you know, with social media, it feels like we're connected, but even more disconnected. Yes. Because you're not having that personal connection. Right. People are showing their best selves. You know, you look at my life, right? It looks like I have a kid, you know, I'm following my passion, and I am, that's all true, but it took us a while to have that kid. Right. You know, like there are things that have happened in my family life. My parents went through a separation and then reconciled that separation, but people don't know that, right? So that impacts you as a person, impacts your mental health. It's very challenging, but you can get support, but you need to have a space that's very secure, safe. And I think Facebook is great. I think Instagram is great, but it's not a way to really engage in mental health. True. You need a dedicated platform, and that's what WhoDefy is.
And I think, you know, as you mentioned that, I'm thinking about it, like on one end, people are sharing what are they paying money for, right? Like on Venmo,
Right.
which I kind of feel like that's TMI, right? Like, why would you need to share all of that?
Right.
But then that's the same generation that's also having these problems. So it's kind of interesting to me where people draw the line in saying that this is okay to share and this is not okay to share.
I think the pendulum swung a lot.
Yes.
Right? Before we didn't share anything, now we're sharing too much. I think it's gonna normalize. It has to.
It has to, yeah. So how is OOTify different than like a Yellow Pages for something?
Sure. Great question.
Right.
So OOTify is based on 3 pillars. All right. The first is content. The second is technology, and the third is community. So people are afraid to even take that first step. It is very daunting to go into the Yellow Pages, to go onto Psychology Today, and then potentially get turned down or not be able to find someone that fits your needs.
Right.
So we wanted to create content that empowers people to want to engage in their mental health, because you have to start there.
Right.
Like, people have to be like, oh, okay, mental health isn't mental illness.
Yes.
It's not the same. We all have mental health.
It's a scale.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. With OOTify, what we want to do is take your mental health and make it flourishing from languishing. So if you're engaging in bad behavior for your mental health, whether that's not sleeping well, not taking medicine if you need it, whatever it may be, vitamins, a holistic approach, we want to make you flourish, right? And then even if you have a mental illness, I know so many people that after I've started this company, which has been the most amazing thing, tell me, hey, I'm taking meds and it's changed my life. And you could never tell. They're portfolio managers, they're consultants at big firms, they're amazing and they're flourishing even though having a serious mental illness. So it's no big deal. So we want to create content that changes the conversation to make it more approachable. That's the first piece.
Yes.
And a lot of other platforms aren't doing that. They're using fear. Like, they'll show images of someone
really sad, trying to take their life,
crying in a corner. And I don't think that's going to really vibe with our generation. Our generation wants positivity.
Yes.
The second piece is technology. You need to be able to convert, right? You need to be able to take that step and be able to engage right away. Because the reality is, we can order a car with Lyft immediately. We should be able to engage with a mental health professional in a communication channel that we feel comfortable with. Whether that's chat, audio, video, we can do that right on our platform, fully HIPAA compliant.
Nice.
So it's safe, it's secure, we match you, you can schedule time, you can search for the perfect professional for you. So that's the vision of what we want to do with our technology. We're in our nascent stage right now. Stage 1, we just launched last week. So super.
Congratulations.
Thank
on
you.
that.
Super pumped. But it also takes, Nitin, a community, right? Like this right here is very important. Engaging with our Indian community, but more so, it can't just be clinicians. It can't just be technologists. It
has to be all of the above.
It has to be a 360 approach, creatives, really changing the conversation, changing the narrative, and all of us having each other's back. If we can start saying, hey, that person, instead of saying that person might have depression, let's go see, hey, how are you doing today? How can I help you, right? Like, peer-to-peer support is probably the most successful way to solve this problem, peer-to-peer support, because it doesn't cost that much money, and you can learn so much from someone that has bipolar disorder or depression.
And has been through something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we're calling social enhancement. If that therapeutic feeling you have just talking with somebody. Like, I can tell you, you don't want to air your dirty laundry the first time you meet with somebody, right? But say, hey, listen, I'm going through a hard time right now.
And let's ease into it and have a conversation about it.
Exactly.
So 2 things stand out to me. One, well, before we go there, I think it's important to talk about what does OOTify mean, right?
Absolutely.
So we didn't talk about that. So tell us, how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, so Oot in Hindi means up. And OOTify is the process of lifting each other up. And that's really the ethos of our company. We are a mental health marketplace powered by community and technology. That's really what we are. I think community is the thing that's going to make us sustainable. The technology will iterate. The content will get better. But community is something that we all today need to start coming together.
And you call it the fabric, right? That's how you bring the community together. So tell us about what the fabric means to you.
Yeah, so the first step that we've taken in creating this community is created a community forum. So you can come on anonymously if you'd like and engage with peers, engage with mental health professionals, and talk about the issue that you're working through and really support each other that way. We think that different people have different lives, different challenges, and those threads can shape the fabric of our community
Right.
if we talk about them.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that.
So you mentioned, HIPAA compliance, and then there is also this stigma. So it's security not just in terms of the technical security, but also the personal fears, because you really want them to open up. So
Yes.
you kind of mentioned a few things, but talk to us a bit more about, how did you go about designing something like that?
Sure. It was a very iterative process. It took a lot of time. Usually you can get to market much faster
Yes.
with a non-HIPAA compliant
Yes.
platform. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
So, there's 3 layers of encryption that we have. It's built on WebRTC, real-time chat, which is the same technology platform that Google Hangouts
Yes.
uses,
Yep.
that WhatsApp uses. So it's effectively
Same.
exactly. It cannot be decrypted.
Right.
And then we're using Amazon Web Services to really, through a BAA, to make sure that data is all safe and secure.
Okay.
And we did, to your point, I think you hit it on the nail, Nitin. You could do HIPAA compliant for regulatory reasons, but this is for safety.
Yes.
That's really the reason we wanted to make sure we had that, because, non-clinicians don't need HIPAA compliance. If you're talking to an executive coach or performance coach on our platform, you don't necessarily need a HIPAA compliant platform, but we made sure that we did that across the board.
Across the board.
Yeah.
So, you've had a lot of personal experience in this space. How involved do you get with, having some of these consultations or discussions? Like, what's your level of engagement?
Yeah. I have been involved in receiving mentorship at a very young age, and I wanted to always give back. So when I was in college, I was a mentor at School on Wheels, where I mentored homeless students.
Right.
Then joined Educational Project, which is through USC, to mentor high school students in the community, because USC is always about giving back.
Yes.
And now I'm in the process of becoming a crisis counselor through the crisis text line.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to be kind of a mentor. And that's the thing, peer-to-peer support is very important.
Yeah.
And on this platform, I am a mentor to help those that might need help with, whether it's my situation with my friend that I lost, or other situations that I've gone through.
Right. So this is not a non-profit, it's a business, but you're very personally involved in it.
Sure.
So talk to us about, the revenue generation side of the aspect. You guys did a seed round
Correct, yes.
Recently.
Yeah.
So again, congrats on that.
Thank you very much.
Talk to us more about the business side of things.
Absolutely. It's really important we monetize this,
Yes.
and it's a sustainable platform.
Right.
So we're monetizing this 2 ways. First is a subscription to the provider. So the provider pays us a monthly fee for us to consolidate their experience. So what mental health professionals tell us, and we've done hundreds of calls with mental health professionals over the summer, beta testing with them. They're going one place for billing, one place for scheduling, one place to have their HIPAA compliant telehealth consultation. They're trying to do their own Instagram, which they don't know how to do. They're trying to do their own Facebook. It's challenging.
Right.
The most important thing that mental health professionals and clinicians and providers can do is deliver care.
Yes.
So WhoDefy, we want to consolidate that whole experience, make it very easy to engage with your client through a medium that they feel comfortable, and be their marketing arm.
Right.
And then the second way we make money is through a booking fee from the consumer to basically save them the trip to go in, right? We take a small transaction just to manage our hosting costs, the HIPAA compliance platform. And what we've tried to do to justify that is really work with our providers to lower their cost point, because it can be expensive to get mental health care. So we really say, hey, because we're making this easy, you can do it from your comfort of your home. Do you mind working with us and driving down your pricing just a little bit? And they're more than happy to do that because they see the upside, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine their administrative cost of just managing all the different resources can add up pretty quick.
Absolutely.
So what's the scope and extent? I mean, you have a great team.
Thank you.
That's working with you. So talk to us a bit more about, what is the scope of operations? Are you starting just in the U.S.? Are you focusing on the Indian community? And
Sure, absolutely. So we have about 13 people on the team right now.
Wow.
Most of them are clinicians. Most of them are women. We're 60% women, 40% men. Thank you. I'm very proud of that statistic. So our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Paul Puri, adjunct professor at UCLA, really helping us drive how we engage with clinicians. Dr. Ghazal Geiser, she's a clinical psychologist. She's helping us with how to communicate with providers, right? So I'll be the first to admit I'm not a clinician, right? I'm a creative, I'm a businessman. I've started companies, startups, finance, fintech, but and I have a creative team as well. So it's about bringing all of our different voices on our conference calls and our meetings, and really seeing how do we approach this in a 360 approach. And I think long term, that's going to really drive us to success as that team. Because the product will change.
Yes.
The content will change, but
and are you starting with like geographically, how are you focusing
Los Angeles.
on LA?
Let's start with Los
Angeles. And then spread out. I mean, this LA is huge. We just talked about it. So how do you, look at challenges that, there's obviously a lot of challenges as you scale up. This is not an easy industry per se to get into. So talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of companies that have tried to tackle this problem.
Yes.
It's a very tough problem.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem we're going to have is onboarding providers. Yeah. Our emails, there's a lot of inbound right now. We need to continue to build a team to manage all that inbound. Yes. It really is, the feedback that we've gotten is we love this platform.
Nice.
So we need to be able to manage all that inbound and streamline that process and use some automation. We need to use technology. We haven't done that intentionally though. We want to talk to every provider right now. In the early stages, I want to talk to every provider. I want my business partner to talk to every provider and see, do they resonate with our core
really
values?
Smart.
Right?
Yes.
Give us the feedback.
Right.
They're very vocal.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, hey, this isn't working right now.
Yeah.
And this is working really well for me right now. So that initial customer feedback, and we're learning this in we're in the Y Combinator startup school.
Nice.
And that's the one thing, Rob Graham and all these, the founders of all these Y Combinator companies say is talk to your customers.
Yes.
Our providers are our backbone, you know? So we really want to talk to every single one. They go through our onboarding process. Our provider care team spends time with them. They have to go through a questionnaire. Then they go through an onboarding process through the app. And then we ongoing monitor them, right?
Nice.
So that's going to be the toughest challenge. And then, making sure our technology can keep up with the demand.
So we also talked about, how technology is playing a role, not just in onboarding, but also with the community that you're building. So talk to us about artificial intelligence and other things that you're working on.
Absolutely. So AI is used very loosely nowadays, right? So I want to be very clear. We're using AI to match you with the best possible provider for your issue. So say you're having an anxiety issue at work today, we want to try to match you with someone that specializes with anxiety. That's a very simple way to look at it, and really optimize that based on your location, the type of issue you're dealing with, and the feelings that you're having. Eventually, we want to be able to take that, predict health outcomes, right? Get the right data with input from providers. What modality do you want? Do you want PHQ-9? Do you want to use as a questionnaire, do you want to use cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the most evidence-based approach to deal with mental health? How do we continue to roll out new AI chatbots that can help providers do their job better? So they can see, okay, I know what's going on with Nitin, boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm going to prescribe this bot to him.
Based on...
Exactly. And then we can improve health outcomes over the long run and learn. The machine learning can help us really drive that engine forward. And that data will be valuable for us to improve healthcare.
That's excellent, and you have a great team working on that too.
Absolutely, and I'm optimistic. We have a partnership coming up that we're working on with a prestigious university that can really help us leverage, their whole PhD program, really smart data scientists, and one of the biggest schools of social work to really back us and provide providers on our platform. So we're really trying to create these partnerships that will really help us drive us forward, because you can't do this alone, like I said.
Exactly, right, and that's a great approach, because you're not trying to, this is not just a business. Right? This is much bigger than that.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you're taking that approach to it, having that big picture vision.
Yes.
That's really required.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you.
So, as you've gone through this, we talked about your dad. Have you used other coaches or mentors?
Yes, absolutely. So coaching is something I've always valued. The ROI is there. A lot of people don't see that, but I had one big challenge in this WhoDefy. Okay, I'm under NDA, so I can't talk about it. But there are times in your company you're like, God, is this going to work? There's a major issue, major issue, and I called my coach, and he did a session with me, and he said, Ravi, what would I know you love Elon Musk.
What would Elon do?
No, Barack Obama, President Barack Obama. What would give me 3 different people with different personalities that you emulate, and what would they do?
Right.
And I told him, this is what Elon Musk would do, this is what Barack Obama would do, this is what Ranveer Singh would do. I literally told him that. And he's like, okay, I want you to try to emulate that today. This is a big negotiation. It's going to be the hardest thing that you've ever done. But try to emulate those learnings that you just described to me, which I knew, but I didn't know how to deal.
How to practice it.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
So my coach got me that. I was able to handle that negotiation so calmly without any emotion, because it was a very emotional negotiation. We negotiated till 2 a.m.
Wow.
Okay. Finished the negotiations, and next chapter.
That's excellent.
And that was actually a turning point for our company. My whole team was there, and we got through it. And till this day, Vic, if you're watching, thank you very much. Executive coach, one of the best executive coach at Forbes Council in Washington, D.C., Vic Kapoor. I mean, he helped me manage that negotiation to another level. And I still have another coach, Judith Gordon.
Okay.
She's out of UCLA. She's a performance coach. She helps me. I just became a father, so just how to balance.
Oh yeah, congrats on that.
Thank you. How to balance 2 babies now.
2 babies, yeah. There you go. How did you find them? How did you find your mentors and coaches?
It's LinkedIn. Again, social media is good for things like that. And Vic actually introduced me to my other coach.
Okay.
So that it's just a networking. Referrals are key. Even with our business, it's a lot of referrals.
Right. Great. So, we talked about, we kind of skirted around this issue, but the one thing I like to understand, because I'm specifically interviewing Indian entrepreneurs, how has your Indian ethnicity made you what you are, and how's that impacted you and what you do?
Absolutely. For me, there's been times where I've faced discrimination. I've been called racial slurs and things like that, but I've always seen the other side of it. I've always been given the benefit of the doubt, being Indian on a trading floor. I'm like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. So it's a double-edged sword. But the one thing that I take away from all of that, in adversity, I just use that as motivation. But more so, that mentality, the immigrant mentality. Just work hard. Work really hard. Like when I was working in my finance careers, I'd pull multiple all-nighters, and I loved it. I really loved it, because it's just like I closed that deal. Everyone said I couldn't do it, and I did it.
You said you started at 5:30, but you didn't tell us what time did you end, what time your day ended.
So I'd end at 4 p.m., but then I'd shower and then go raise more money for closing dinners and investor dinners. So it was a journey, but people always ask, what was the most rewarding career you did? You were miserable at your last job. I'm like, you know what? No, that was my best job because I learned so much. It was so amazing to be surrounded by amazing people, good people, and one of the biggest money managers in the world. Like it was tough to leave that opportunity, but I knew I could even learn more from this next opportunity.
No, that's a great view to have, right? What's in front of you, not what you're going to leave behind.
Exactly.
What drives you? What's the motivation? Is this, are you trying to please someone? Are you trying to achieve something? Is there a number in mind? What motivates you?
Sure. So I actually I wear these two rings. Okay, and it's really quirky. Like people always are like, why do you wear 2 rings? No one wears 2 rings. Okay.
I don't wear any.
One's for my wife. Okay, and I always want to make her proud because she's really been that kind of pillar of support for me. And then my son that I just had 7 months ago. It's you don't realize how amazing your father is until you become a father. It is hard. Because when I'm here, I want to be with him. When I'm with him, I want to be here. So, and I want him to be proud. And I really want to build WhoDefy into a company where we move the needle and people talk about their mental health. Like I want him to grow up in a place where he can talk to his friends, and instead of saying, hey, I have a primary care doctor, I also have my coach you should talk to, or here's my therapist, you should talk to him. Because we all have issues, right? We all have had friends go through issues. And if my kid can grow up in an environment where he feels comfortable doing that, mission accomplished.
That is awesome.
So that's my motivation in life.
That is so awesome. You kind of already mentioned this, but I still want to ask you, what are you most excited about right now in life?
What am I most excited about? I'm excited about WhoDefy. I really am. I'm excited about our generation. We are the generation that can really change the conversation. We're doing it. The fact that I'm able to sit here and you're able to, ask these tough questions to meet, and I want to move the needle. I'm really excited about people talking about their mental health, and I've already seen it. So we're at the right time, at the right place. The momentum's on our side.
Right.
We're not the first mover in the space. I'd say we're the last mover in the space.
Which is usually good.
Yeah,
right?
it's great.
Mean, there's advantages on both sides of it.
Everyone solved HIPAA compliance for us.
Yep.
It took a lot of the hard work out of it, but now it's about the brand.
Right.
You know, it's about the vision, the community, and the technology will get better.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're using all of it, so that's
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
So, I would say any thoughts or things you want to share with other entrepreneurs that are either thinking about entrepreneurship or are going through this journey like you are. What is something that you want to share with them?
My mantra in life, it's a relatively new mantra, but it's Sine Mein Tu. Okay. So in Hindi, Sine Mein Tu means you're in my heart.
Yes.
Always understand other people have journeys, they're going through something, and embrace them with love. Okay.
Yes.
Do that in entrepreneurship, give back first to them, you're going to get so much more.
Yes.
But number 2, in Latin, Sine Mein Tu means living without fear. And so if you can live life, and it's really hard to live without fear, because if you don't have any fear, you're being a little foolish. You should have some fear, but try to live without fear, because it takes the lack of fear to solve big problems.
Yes.
And entrepreneurs, God bless them, they are solving big problems. It's very hard. It's a lonely place, but if you do it without fear, and you do it with love for other people, you will be successful.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
How old are you? Like 100?
34. Young, having no goatee anymore, but
yeah, you do look different. I mean, you look nice. Right?
Thanks, man.
So, on that note, thanks a lot for being with us.
Of course.
And all the best to WhoDefy and to you. And we would continue this conversation, and I'm hoping to see you grow along this journey.
Nathan.
And you ready for some ping pong?
Absolutely, let's do this.
Awesome. All right, see you guys.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Ravi.
Thank you very much.